Hi, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. I skipped the video yesterday because the day before was a little too full. As I mentioned in my post, I'm working on cleaning out the Airbnb of the duplex because the duplex is under contract. Yay, hallelujah. But that means there's a lot of work for me in the next few days. I'm going to be doing an estate sale there on the Friday of whatever date that is. Next Friday, I think it's the 23rd. 24th, maybe? I'm not sure of the date. I just know I'm doing good to know my name right now. Let's just be honest with everybody. So yesterday was a very full day, cleaning out things and trying to absorb things from that house that I'm going to keep. So I'm working with a friend who is a professional reseller. Her business name is Paperclip 47. So the name of her business is Paperclip 47, but she and her partner have a podcast called Ready to Resell. Everything you need to know about her at paperclip47.com. I'll put that on the screen. Hopefully I'll remember to do that. So I've worked with her in the past, and she was a friend before I ever worked with her in this venture, this type of venture. So I know I can trust her, and it was great fun spending time with her yesterday, but it was a lot of work, so no video went up yesterday. So, but I will have a video for you today. Obviously, you're watching it, if you're watching it when it's being published, and I'll have one for the next day. And probably for the next, I don't think I'm going to have interruption I don't think I'm going to have an interruption as often as I had feared now that I'm working with Paperclip 47. So let's just jump into it here. Well, one more thing. I think it might be wise though if I drop down to just 5 videos a week so that I can also do other social media platforms. So I can do the Facebook, so I can do the Instagram, and there just isn't a lot of time for me to do those things or to do shorts on this channel even. And so that's important for me to do, and it's important for me to have a little bit of rest too. So I think 5 days a week might be good. I haven't decided which days, and I'll sort that out. So just stay tuned. Think there will be a little bit of a change, but I don't want there to be any drop in quality. I don't, this is kind of a funny statement, right? Because I'm a Learn With Me channel. Like the quality is, the experience is just authentic. My ignorance is what you're watching, so the quality of my ignorance will not change, I promise you. uh, oh, that's kind of humorous to me. Okay, so let's just jump into it. What are we going to be doing today? Well, I use this as my backdrop for a reason. I think that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to go ahead and figure out how to jump into doing the applique for these 4 log cabin blocks that are going to be going underneath here. There's supposed to be 4 log cabin blocks that go underneath right through here. Can't believe I'm actually looking behind and over me and motioning accurately. Usually I'm all over the place. Anyway, 4 log cabin blocks have to have applique on them. I want to get started on that. So let's get to it. Okay, to start off with, things get really confusing right off the bat. So one of the things that Barbara is pointing out is it matters which photo you're using, and you need to be consistent with the photo you're using. So in this one, let me find something to point with. In this one, start off, this is what we were given for month 5. This is the applique that we were given. Well, these pieces are over here. So I was wondering why I was seeing some, I think it was hers, that showed some applique here. I'm thinking, aren't we supposed to be doing the bottom row? That's what I took off of my, design board, was the bottom row of log cabins that I then pieced together, have them right here on the table. And thought, well, that's fine. I'll do my bottom row. I thought that's what we were doing. Well, I don't think that's what we're doing. That's not what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing the left side. If I use this one photo as my reference, and so I have consistency all the way throughout, then I will be doing the left side of that center square medallion, if you want to call it that. And let me get some light on me. I look like I'm in the dark. Hang on. See if that's a little bit better for you guys. I looked at one of Pat Sloan's videos where she was talking about her studio, which was fantastic. I think I mentioned that in my last video about how organized it is and how neat it is. And, mine shows a lot of creativity happening, a lot of productivity happening, and it is not clean and neat like hers. But in that one, so I'm not trying not to compare myself to her. I think I could be more organized if I knew what the heck I was doing from step to step to step, but I'm learning as I'm going and pushing myself pretty hard to do all the things. So cutting corners what I can, and sometimes that's because and sometimes those corners are cut by leaving some things for me to deal with the next day, some piles of stuff. And as I mentioned, I'm leaving little stations of things out so I can move the needle on that when I have 5 minutes, and that's all I can think about is cutting some fan blades or doing some applique or whatever. Like today, had a big day yesterday, and I feel like I need to do an activity today that is the most like the last activity I did, and that is applique. And that's great because this is what I really want to make progress on too. Anyway, in that video with Pat Sloan, she talked about her lights, and she had light bouncing off the ceiling and coming back down. So I thought, well, I'll put my light, because I don't have any ceiling light either. I'll take my lights and bounce them up, and maybe the light will bounce back onto my face. I'm not getting the same effect that she gets. I am not getting the same effect that she gets. I don't know. I don't have all the answers about lighting. I've told you guys I used to work at a TV station, and we'd go into the studio where the news was filmed and aired, and I have a good memory of the complexity of the lighting that was involved in making a TV broadcast show. And I know lighting is a complex thing, and I don't have the answer. So bear with me when it's all of a sudden, number one, something I'm showing you is no longer on screen because the camera's gotten bumped, or when the light's not just right. I appreciate y'all's patience. Now, let's get back to talking about this. Something that a viewer, Sherry, who has been wonderful to me, and her name is Sherry, and she's been wonderful in supporting me, and I just really do appreciate it. So what she had pointed out to me is like she only put together 2 at a time so that you're not having excess landscape, if you will, of the log cabin to deal with while you're only appliquing here. And so I was analyzing that this morning, and I'm thinking, well, I can just do this one by itself. I don't have to have this one attached to it at all, not until I'm putting that circle on. And I can pretty much do that circle all on its own, like not put that circle on until the last bit, like put this on this log cabin, and then attach it to this one and put the circle on, right? So then I have these 2 done, and then do the same thing over here. It's okay to just applique half a piece. Like this piece is only appliqued on one side, and then the other side of this piece will be appliqued down once this log cabin is attached to the log cabin that goes here. So I'm thinking just because I have my log cabin here in front of me, 4 log cabins sewn together, I can shift gears and I can work on where to go. And I can pull my log cabin that is, which one is which? Hang on, let me look at this drawing. Yeah, I can pull this log cabin from the design board and just work on putting the applique on that, because all of that is on its own. It's not, all the applique for that block does not lap over any of the others. So I can just pull that log cabin off of the design board and work on that. So that's what I'm going to do. Let me put this one back up on the design board. Okay, this is the orientation that I want to work with. It's red on the bottom, okay? Because it matters to me how my reds are dispersed. Oh, hey, bonus of working at the duplex yesterday. Let me show you. I have another iron. This one was at the short-term rental, and it's nice and lightweight. I love my Rowenta just fine, but it's a little harsh on my wrists, and that's why I like this old iron. Let me pull that over here. That's why I like this little Sunbeam that I'd gotten. That, remember I told you that it wasn't working anymore, that Ruby had pulled it down and broken a piece of it. And I said that it didn't work anymore because I plugged it up immediately after that. I thought, is it toast? I wonder if it's toast, because you can see this piece was broken in that fall. And Well, initially it did not come back on. It must have been a safety mechanism because I had some heartburn about just throwing it in the garbage can. So I plugged it back in a few days later and it actually works. But I think it'd be good if I can get this piece, right here, this plastic piece, which I think is just like, it's just an aesthetic thing and not a functional piece. If I can, and maybe I just deal with the fact that it moves around in there. I don't know. I think that would annoy me. I could also use some super glue and like stick it in place or something like that, or I can continue to break it out of there. I don't know. But I liked this iron because it has a nonstick surface. It glides really well. And that's probably easy to clean, I think. I don't know. I've never cleaned it. I've never used that faultless iron cleaning stuff on it. I know that clanking around is going to get old, but I like the weight of this. It doesn't kill my wrists, as you know, any repetitive thing is going to be harmful to all of us. Anyway, so I liked this one, and I hadn't swapped it out for the Rowenta yet. And then I pulled this one home from the duplex, and you know, it's got a different kind of plate, and I don't know if I'm going to like it. It's hot, so I'm not going to touch it, but it's got a little ridges around the outside. It's not as flat as this, and it's a slightly heavier. This one is by Black & Decker, and this is Sunbeam, and the one you've seen me use forever is Rowenta. You know, I think it was like a $35, $40 iron, the Rowenta was. I know this was like $25 from Amazon. I don't remember how much I paid for this, and it was either Walmart or Amazon. Don't think I would have bought it anywhere else. And, you know, I don't know what's going to be. I don't know which one I'm going to like the best, but we're going to be giving them both a good trial. You'll see me changing them out over time, just so I can comment on it for those who care to know, because that's very helpful when we do that. Speaking of which, I watched a video this morning by a woman named Mary B. Her channel is called Mary B. She's a delightful person, and you know, she ends her videos very lovely. She's says something about being joyful. She may not always be something, but she will always be Mary. And I thought that's really sweet. She will always be Mary. But her name is Mary, and she's just doing a play on words. Anyway, she had, so all that about her name, and I didn't tell you what the content was. Her video was about marking pencils and different marking pencils for quilting, for actually marking your quilting lines. So on the top of your fabric, after you've put it together and you're marking your quilting lines, so you want those lines to go away. And I found it quite interesting. She was showing a demonstration. She did a good side-by-side comparison. It was live today, and this is Wednesday, whatever date this is, May 15th, I think. So if you want to go back and look at her channel, you can find it there. So she was doing a good comparison of pencils, not colored pencils, of marking pencils. And in her experience, the friction, do I have one here? I think so. Let me grab it. These that are by Pilot, so they're friction pens, and they were meant for paper, and then they started being used for fabric. So the manufacturer did not intend for them initially, anyway, to be used for fabric. But people say that when they get cold, they come back. The markings come back, even if they've gone away. Well, then you may get some ghosting, or you get the lines to come back. But some of the commenters were saying, doesn't happen to me, doesn't happen to me. And she was using this on, I think she said Kona fabrics. And it makes me wonder, it's a chemical response going on. So I wonder if it's a matter of the type of dyes that one fabric manufacturer uses versus another. And I don't know anything about that process. Is it possible that Kona uses dyes from one manufacturer that reacts to these, and then Riley Blake or somebody else? I don't know all the different names of the fabric manufacturers, but maybe the different fabric manufacturers use different dyes from different dye companies, and those dyes are manufactured differently. And so sometimes the friction pins are responding to some of those and not to others. That's why some people have mixed results, because what Mary B was doing was putting her samples in the freezer. And I think she said that she was getting it down to 20 degrees for it to be able to come up, for the drawn line to come back up. And that's not that cold. You know, you can take a blanket out into your car or a quilt out into your car, and it gets to be 20 degrees, and all of a sudden your lines come back. That's an unfavorable response, right? So that's my 2 cents about it. It's like, it might be neat to kind of do the same test on like a white and red, blue, yellow, green of Kona versus Riley Blake or some other manufacturer, Moda, you know, just all the different ones, make the same marks on different manufacturers' fabrics. So I'm not about to do that right now. So if anybody else wants to run with that idea or already has an answer, please put it in the comments, because I'd love to see that. I really would. Okay, enough of that. I'm not procrastinating. I've just got a lot to share. All right. What did I say I was starting with? I'm starting with, which one goes? Oh, you know what? I was looking at this in reverse because I was looking at you. This is actually the left side of the quilt. So I need to put this block back up. And I'm going to use this because, because that is the left side of the center medallion, not the right side. It just looks like it because I'm looking at it, you know, opposite of what you are. So this is the direction, looking at it like this, head on. This is going to be on my right-hand side. And we need to put some flowers on this. And which one of these goes there? It's this one. Okay. And we're gonna, and those flowers go facing in to the square. Noted. Okay. I'm gonna lay that down right there. And I know which one of my templates I need to work with, and it's this. And I don't need a template for this, I don't guess. I'm gonna eyeball that. So I forgot how much she said. I have to go back and watch that part of Barbara's video, but I cut this at a certain width on the bias, fold it in thirds, leaving, I think, 3/8 of an inch, I think is what she said. And that bias is going to allow me to put it on a curve. And I can do that. This is not a huge line of vine, of stick, of the bias material. So I don't have to be concerned. I don't think I need to concern myself about knowing how to have a bias maker and how to do that. I think I can just iron that freehand and be fine. Famous last words, right? Okay. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on freezer paper, that on freezer paper, and that on freezer paper. Just get started. But you know what I'm going to do? Figure out which fabrics to put on this baby. That's the fun part. I just happen to have right here in front of me, you know, waiting in queue to be cut for the fan blades. I just happen to have some of this, and I think that might be a nice pop. It might go nicely against that. So that's one idea. If this is, now I wonder, I thought at first that maybe these colors that are being used up here in this visual was kind of indicating what colors are used in the quilt, but it's not. For instance, this little square is yellow in the quilt, so I don't have to worry about any nuances regarding that. Oh, I just saw, this might be lovely too against this blue. Oh, look at that, that's fun. So these two together, I like how they're different scale. Let me just point you down. All right, this is what I'm thinking. I hope you can see this well. So maybe I should put it a different direction. If this is one of my flowers and this is the stem, and this is one of my flowers and this is the stem, I think those colors will all play nicely together. I'm using the smaller scale on the stem. The only thing I'm kind of questioning is this is just much lighter, more paler, and all this is much more bold and bright. So I might consider looking for a different option here. I'm also trying to think, okay, I've got yellow and green, and I have blue. So what am I missing, right? I'd be missing a red. Well, I've got red in here, so I don't really know that I care to put more red. So this is one of the longer strips of red on this log cabin. Like it's the longest rectangle for the log cabin. So then I'm repeating either another green or a yellow. And it's okay to go with a pink. Let me consider that. Or a different shade. Let's look at this. Oh, that's very clashy, isn't it? I'm going to get you a little bit closer so I can see what you're looking at. And from this view, you can see my messes. I need to move this out of the way. This is from building my log cabin. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take that and I am going to do what with it? I don't want to just stash it somewhere. Hang on. So I put it in one of the bins underneath the ironing station that has fabric that's been used in that very center medallion, the first block. So I don't like how orange this is. If it is going to be on the same log cabin with all that red, that's just pretty orange. It doesn't really do that any favors. I mean, can it work? Sure, but it just doesn't do it any favors. Let's find something that does it some favors. Now, this is an idea. I don't think I like the fact it's not highly saturated, but the colors are nice. It's highly saturated in white. That's what it's highly saturated in. That's not so bad. Looking at it on the screen, it's not so bad. It plays well with this, plays well with this. Does no harm here and does no harm here. I kind of like it, actually. And since it is a smaller scale print, it should be the stem where this is the flower. Okay. And I think we'll use this for the square blossom. And this really funky one that looks like it came out of, 1970s psychedelic kind of world with the really loosey-goosey tulip design. Okay. Then got to find a color for that, but that'll be easy. I've got lots to choose from, that's for sure, and that's great. Okay. We have a direction. Yay, yay, yay. I just feel better already. Okay, I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm going to keep it oriented the way I want it, everything to go. And let's get some freezer paper cut out. I mark my points and then draw my lines. Where's my little ruler? It's just easier to see this way for me. Okay, well, my pen didn't really mark. Okay, this is one of them, and this one I will have to trace. No problemo. So tell me, guys, do any of you have studios that are pristine all the time? If it is, I promise you I won't hate you. I just want to know your trick. So tell me, how do you make it happen? Okay. Cut this out. It's interesting how there's a slight little indentation right there. I thought maybe I had slipped in my drawing, but it's actually part of the design. Don't know how well that's going to transfer over to the finished product, but I'm going to include it in the template. Haven't decided how I'm going to machine applique. I like that little stitch that I found. Yeah, what was I using? I like that little stitch that I found when I was doing this little circle 10-point star in the Moda Blockheads. Block, was it 18? I think. Can't believe I am now an entire block behind on Moda Blockheads. Took me 2 weeks to do that one block just because there were so many learning curves for me. But I did it, and I feel good about it. And with all the changes in my life because of selling this duplex and all the physical work that's required and just being absent from the studio, I'm kind of throwing out my schedule and knowing that it's going to have to get reworked. So just bear with me. Each day I will do what I can and move the needle on all of the projects to my best of my ability and share the journey. And of course, if you ever don't see a video one day, hop onto the community page and you'll see a post from me explaining what's going on. Make sure you all know I'm still alive and well. There's just something going on. Okay. I'm going to press this probably right here. Does it matter if it's on a bias? Do I have to do it like this? Should I do it like that? Does it matter? Somebody tell me. I'm going to conserve fabric and do it like that. But somebody tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Actually, I need to include my 1/4 inch, don't I? So I'm going to do it. I'm going to just sit here and cut out a section and take it to the oops. Taking that to the pressing mat, setting this aside, putting it back in queue to be turned into a blade, one of the fan blades. Okay, that's going to be ready for the pressing mat. There. That one's ready. All right, let's move on to this one. Okay, what were we going to do? We're going to do this. It's a big enough piece right there. That one's back in queue to be a fan blade. Turn this over, take it to the pressing station. Interesting thing, I was just looking at that Black & Decker iron because it used steam on this and I didn't mean for it to. I was wondering if there's a way to turn off the steam even though there's water in it, and I don't see that there is that ability. And also it says that you can use vertical steam, like hold your iron up and let steam come out, but I didn't figure out how to make it do that either. Interesting. May just be a user problem. Okay, I'm going to take this back to the pressing mat. I'll set you up over there, and then we'll press all this over. I should probably just do a little trim job. Hang on, where is my add a quarter ruler? Let's just use our add a quarter ruler. Make sure we have just a 1/4 inch to work with here. I love this ruler. When I bought it on faith. I heard somebody on YouTube talk about how awesome it is to have it. Wasn't sure when I would be able to use it, but it was an inexpensive thing. I thought I should have that on hand so that whenever there's a time, I'll have it. And I'm so glad. It's so handy for this because there's no more of a lip than you get from this freezer paper. It grabs it. So you don't have to spend a lot of time eyeballing where to put your 1/4 seam. Okay. All right, let's do this one. Well, of course, that doesn't apply here, does it? It does not. I think how I would do this one is by line of sight, just like connect some dots. It's not too bad. I think this will give us what we need. Ruby, what are you doing? Ruby. Swear, guys, you cannot say, Ruby Sue, where are you? Or Ruby Sue, what are you doing? Without thinking of the Scooby-Doo theme song. I promise you. Impossible. I like how there's pretty much a 1/4 inch on either side, that she intentionally probably created this template to where you have a decent amount of fabric to turn over. Thank you, Jen. Do you hear little Miss Busy prancing around? I think it's time for her to have a little exercise outside. I don't take her on actual walks on days that I am kind of recuperating from a lot of activity. She went with me yesterday. She wasn't in her crate while I was gone. She was with me the whole time. So she had a big day yesterday too. Okay, I'm going to cut that. I can probably do it with my little bitty, let me let her outside first. Yeah, this little bitty rotary cutter is great for this. You can get a sense of confidence that you got it under control though. And since you're not using a rotary cutting ruler, so I didn't realize that I was not in the line of sight for the camera whenever I made all these curves. And all I did was, just rolled around, and I, of course, made a cautionary statement about how you can still do a lot of damage with such a little bitty blade since you're not working with a ruler. Just be careful. Going through here pretty easily. I like this little blade. And then I also talked about how I might, so I can point with something for you to see. I don't know if you can see any better with that. Here, let's look at that. I may come in and make slices right here and right here. So there's a little triangle to flip over here and a little triangle to flip over here as well, since that's a pretty wide curve. I think that's a pretty smart thing to do, but I'm going to do that with scissors. That's a little bit more precise. You got to go almost all the way to that, just leave a thread difference. And same over here on this side, going right into that valley of that curve there. So that will fold over there, that will fold over there, and all will be good in the world of applique. Ensure that I've got it as tight as it needs to be. I think so. There's a little bit of an indentation there. I think the best way to get that change of direction is by doing a cut there as well. Okay, let's take it all the way to it. All right, let's look at this one. It's not going to need any cuts into it, so I'll set my scissors back over at my sewing table. I could use my ruler on this, but I'm not going to. Now we go to the pressing mat with this to use our starch. All this goes in my little bucket where I keep such things to go into a dog bed eventually. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Now I have my two pecan pickers. I'm going to continue to try to use them because I do like how they work. But I also have this corn cob holder, which has a nice point to it. And that might work. And I do like how it allows me to hold it like a pencil and to rest my hand. That's got a nice feature, and it's sharp enough that it's grabbing it. But this round edge on this pecan picker is really nice for opening up seams and then using that round edge to press the seam open. So maybe this is good not only for that, it's also good for this, but this might be better. I don't see this being useful for the seams. Okay, I need to cut into here. Should have kept the scissors around, shouldn't I? But these are pretty sharp. I'm going to put a timestamp for the end of this section for anybody who's watching this who doesn't want to watch these details. But I'm going to leave all this in because there are people out there who want to watch there are people out there who want to watch the details. And I know it can be boring for those of you who are like, okay, I've done this 50 billion times. I don't need to watch that part. What is next? So I'll give you a timestamp. Okay, so I'm going to put that over it. Probably should be using the tool only and not my fingers. That's the benefit of the tool, is to keep your hands dry and clean. Probably should be using the dry iron, and this one is full of water, so it's going to be making steam. I need to change out my iron, I think, because I cannot figure out how to turn off my steam. If it's got water in it, it is steaming. Okay, I'm going to change out irons. This is an excellent use of this tool. So we will be using the little, they consider it a craft tool. It's clover needlecraft is what it's called. Anyway, it's not hot yet. We got to give it a chance to warm up. So don't worry about little Ruby being in the backyard to get her exercise. That backyard is big and it's fenced in, very secure for her. Lots of little different pockets for her interests and lots of things to smell. She can look at the lake, she can look at the street, she can look at neighbors, she can look at cats and sometimes other animals. It's not hot yet. She's got a good life back there. She can get her zoomies out, which she does sometimes. She just goes and does circles. So she's young and has a lot of energy. I need more heat. It's getting warm. It's not hot yet. It's getting there. Oh, I'm kind of disappointed in the Black & Decker iron. I may have to look up the manual to see if there's something about it that I don't know. So I guess I should cut a perpendicular line right here of this, just cut that off. Because otherwise this has nothing to adhere to really. It's got to go through 2 or 3 layers before it, just no need for that. Okay, so I'm going to cut that flush there. I'm going to try to create a little bit of memory in the fibers before I put the, actually I may do that and then put my starch on it. Yep, I like that idea. I think that's what I was doing on that 10-point star too. Cover that up, protect my tool. It's getting good and hot. Not as hot as it will get, hopefully. I don't have to kill it, you know, I don't have to incinerate it. I just need it to hold its position. Same thing here. Trim up that little dog ear. Flush with the side of the template. Finger press. So I'm on this new rug in the studio and it doesn't feel as awesome as that stress mat. Oh, you know what it is? It's not just a matter of the rug versus the stress mat, that oversized stress mat. I changed out my shoes. I got new ones of the exact same shoe because they support my legs and whatever, and allow me to walk longer throughout the day. And I did not transfer my orthotics over, so I don't have the same kind of support. I need to do that. Note taken. I'm glad I said it out loud. I may not have remembered. You guys helped me remember and you didn't even know it. Awesome. Wait. Okay. Clip my dog ears. It's still kind of moist, the whole thing is. I don't know if that's because my original ironing method was using steam. I should have considered what my designs were on this, but I don't mind that. I mean, I should have considered which part of the fabric was being captured, but I think it's cute. It's fine as it is. Take out the template and then press it again. And now that I'm just pressing fabric, I can use my heat. So I'm going to go over here to this big iron. I can use steam. Voila! My little mascot. I think she approves of the rug too. I had to move you to that side because I had to plug up the phone. I'm going to move this over to the Anyway, I had to plug up the phone, which is closer over there. I didn't want any more cords wrapping around my feet. I got enough of those. I guess I need to trim around all of these curves. I'm going to hit this with the iron to put that freezer paper down a little bit more of a stick right there on those tips. Okay, so all these sharper curves need, what is it called when you cut in like this? I can't remember what it's called. You just ease in the curve, but I can't think of the name of this technique. I remember my mother teaching me this though. Way back when I was a youngin'. Darts is what I was thinking of, but that's not the same thing. Well, probably wouldn't hurt Gotta say, this is fun. All right, I think this is a little tedious right here to do one little one at a time. I'm going to see how this works out. One there, one there. Probably should be using a tool. Use another one of these. I do like how this gets me right down there at it. Probably could have cut that a little bit more. The thing about these craft irons is they get hot and then they stay hot, which is good. This is why it needs to be on a mat or on one of the little stands. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Okay. It is just a little bit more fiddly. These little guys are working out good. I like them for this. They're sharp enough that they can kind of grab the fabric and manhandle it just enough. And I feel like I've got control because I'm right down here at it versus a longer stick. Gonna just do those two right there first. Come on. See the steam coming up, it must be hot. The camera fell a little bit, so you may not be positioned exactly how you were. And it wanted to knock over my starch, and that would have made me very sad. But it did not. Do those two little... Hey, what are you doing? I thought I cut that. Oh, geez, I don't want to put my scissors in there. I know I cut that. It must just be starch holding it together. I can see the cut. Oh, I don't want to use my good scissors in there. I sure thought I had cut that to the tip, but I clearly didn't. Okay, I think you need to go back outside. I think you're kind of bored. Let's go outside and go play. Yes, ma'am. Let's go play. Okay, so these I can wipe clean, hopefully. All right. That's a lot of material right there. Not a lot. Gonna be okay. The angle on that had to be clipped off because as I bent it over, it was gonna be sticking out. So kind of pre-cut it. That's the worst of the tediousness, I do believe. We have a little bit more right here and a couple little ones here, but the rest of this is gonna go quickly. I'm gonna just fold over that one by itself before I fold over that whole edge there. Can't decide if it's popcorn this smells like or what it smells like. Some food item though. I think we should probably clip into this to get an edge there and an edge here. Those aren't too bad, but they're not quite as awesome as I had really expected I would get. But it may be that once it's appliqued down, some of these little points become a moot point. Ha ha. Did not mean to make a pun. Is this how you guys do it? Do you handle this any differently? I feel like it's migrating on me. Keep on pulling it closer and closer. There's no starch on this. I'm going to go ahead and use a little finger pressure. Maybe even use the iron. Do more than finger press. Roll that over. Okay, there's there. Okay, that's good. Couldn't see that clip. All it really needs is to have the starch on the edge that's being folded, right? Getting close, guys. Okay, I'm gonna get that paper out and then press it all again. I feel like I need to let it dry before I pull on this paper. Paper's kind of wet. Not the end of the world if I lose my template, but I'd like to keep it. Should be able to keep it. Yay, template saved. Okay, now can we press all this back down? Don't know that I can press it down and use the parchment paper too, so I'm risking soiling my little craft iron. Feel bad for Ruby that I wasn't able to walk her today. I'll take her outside on the leash here in a little bit and that'll excite her. We'll just walk the yard. Check the mail, that kind of stuff. She has more energy than Zoe ever did as a puppy her age. Okay, I'm gonna use a big iron on it. Okay, this is how this is looking. See, it's got a lot of little frays. I don't think that's a bad sign. Some of the curves are rather pointy. Not sure that that's going to be very noticeable once I get the stitching on it. But I think to avoid that, in the future, I just make more clips so that each little turned edge is smaller. Like right here, that little point. Although, you know, who's to say that I didn't want to have points there? They kind of work. Some petals have points to them. Clip off that. Oh, goodness me. You know what this means? Now that this one's done, now I get to take on what's been in my head an obstacle. Cutting on the bias to create the stems. That's gonna look cute, isn't it? But I think my stem needs to be a little bit more narrow. It's not a very big piece. So surely I can't mess that up much. How wide is that? It is, not that it really matters that much. It's almost 1/8 of an inch, so it's probably like 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so if I want to cut something on the bias, fold it twice so you have 3 parts. So it's 3 times 3/8. So that's 9/8, so it's 1 1/8. It doesn't have to be exactly that, like the parts I fold over don't have to be exactly the measurement of the width of the stem. So let's say it's 1/4. So 3/8 in the middle and 1/4 on each end. It'd be 1/2 plus my 3/8. So 4/8 and 3/8, 7/8. So I need to cut this. I can't use this. I just realized I can't cut this on the bias that long. I mean, I can get a little bit of a bias on it. Like I can cut, like, let's see how long it is. So it's that long. Is that right? That long. Okay. Sorry, I know I changed thinking on you here for a second, but now that I have, I can't go back to what I need to stay focused on this, because what we were talking about is already gone out of my head. So it's 4 inches. Can I get a 4-inch bias that is set? Let me show you. Let me point you down. 4 inches, and I said I needed 7/8. So from here, nope, that's not all the way. So that's a steep angle for getting my bias. I don't need much of a curve. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna see if I can get what I need out of that. Let's just see. 4. A little bit of this goes underneath the funky tulip. Now that I've got that cut, what did I say? 7/8. 7/8. 7/8. Oh, that's not 7/8. Yes, it is. It just looks very narrow. I'm going to go iron this, and I'm going to just fold it over 1/4 of an inch and fold over 1/4 of an inch, and that should leave me 3/8 in the middle. Okay, I'm using this as a bit of a straight edge to press open, not open, press over, to have something to press against. Oops, I had turned my little iron off. We had to use this bigger one for this. That's fine, it should work. And this is the plastic from the cutting board that I talked about early on when we first started this project. My iron is not hot. It was sitting there with its light on, but it had lost its heat. Anyway, I just kind of want to see how well it compares to the mylar that's used, that's sold for template material. I kind of feel like it's the exact same thing. And I don't know if it said it was mylar whenever I bought it, but it's cutting board material. That's a lot of steam. The name of this one I told you is Black & Decker, with the brand name, not brand name, but model name of Even Steam. It's very proud of its ability to steam. I hope this gives me the curve I need. The main thing is that I get a 3/8 of an inch. Steamy, wasn't it? As long as this is a pretty even 3/8 of an inch, and that looks pretty good. I like that. This should have some heat on it now. As long as this can arc a bit, it doesn't have to have a sharp arc, and it is. It's doing just fine. That's all the arc I need. It's not a true 45-degree bias, but it's got enough bias that it's going to do what I need it to do. What is that? Interesting. Okay. So clearly I have an issue. When I zoom in so you guys can see some details, I kind of lose focus on how narrow of a space I have to work in without you guys not seeing what I'm doing. And so I'm sorry some of that last footage was not on screen. And I'm sorry for every time that happens. Okay, so this is a little bit longer. This is more like 5.5. So 5.5 out of this, and I can get 5.5 at the most. 5.25 is all I need on this, and I can get a good bias out of this fabric. Okay, so I need a 45 degree at 5.5. There's my 5.5 mark there. From here to there. There. If I cut right there, that's a straight edge. That's one side of my 5.5. And it's 5.5, it's 45 degree angle. I know that because this is perpendicular over here, this line is, and this line is. So this is a 45 degree angle because that makes a right angle. Now, I just come back, cut a 7/8 inch on the other side. Let's go iron that. Okay, I'm going to try to make sure I stay in view. Whoa, that steam is getting me. I'm just going to use this one. If I was pressing close, I wouldn't mind all that steam boiling out of there. But right now I don't want the steam. And I don't know how to make it not steam, besides take the water out. This template material is working out just fine so far. Of course, it's not having to get terribly hot either, but it's not bad. I don't know that my initial edge right here was a full quarter, so I'm just going to do a little bit heavier turn on this side. Guess I could take the time to mark where a quarter is on this side so I would know how much to turn this over. But this is not an exact science for this. It just needs to be pretty consistent. Not that a stem is all the way consistent. You know, they vary as they taper a little bit as they get closer to the bloom, and then as they get closer to the bottom. Okay, that looks good. It's all lining up pretty good. You see that? Those different designs. This is the part that can go underneath the bloom. So I can shave that off a little bit. Oh, that's going to look good. I like how that looks. All right. Okay, so this is supposed to go in this little corner, a little cockeyed, not much, just a little bit. And this is supposed to go underneath there. Where's my drawing? No, there's supposed to be a little leaf right here. I need to do that real quick. Okay. So I guess I pin. Okay, that's not bad. Let me get my pins. No, I'm gonna go up a little bit. Goes in the middle. Y'all, I saw an advertisement earlier on YouTube when I was watching Barbara Black's video again. It was on Amazon Prime. The ad was for an Amazon Prime movie. It was wicked. I did not know they turned it into a movie. I'm so excited. Love that show, movie, that play, I'm sorry. Love it. Okay, this bias stuff really works. It really matters. It's amazing. Nice little arc we're getting here. Doesn't have to be any great active geometry here to get the exact same thing that they got. Just a nice little arc, an easy little slope. I need to go ahead and make my petal because my petal goes underneath there. But first, let's get this guy on. Okay, they have this kinda, okay, this is on the inside here. This middle one goes across there like that. And this one, so it's more of a slope like that. So more of the arc that they're getting is coming from this, the placement of the tulip blossom. I need to make my petal. Wonder how this pink will play with that. If I make a little, it'll bring some red down in here. If I use this pink for a petal, it plays nicely with everything. It even plays nicely with this red. That's what I'm going to do. This shouldn't take too long. I'm just going to make this happen and not take you along for the journey. So don't worry, you don't have to watch this. Okay, it's all ready. See, goes right there. There's a couple little points on it, but I think all that will work its way out. Who knows if it doesn't? I think I noticed some of this on Barbara's too. Speaking of somebody making you feel better, when I mentioned, I think it was the last video about, my studio space not looking like Pat's, Pat Sloan's is just always so neat and tidy. Like, how do you do that, Pat? And my quilty friend who I've never met, who always encourages me, she, Sherry is her name. She sent me a message that she'd cleaned up her studio and rearranged some furniture, and then she couldn't find a piece of her fabric that she needed for a particular quilt, the sew along for the charity sew along with Fat Quarter Shop. And I thought, okay, it's not worth it, is it, to clean up, because we can lose track of things. Like, that was a lovely way to make me feel better. Okay, all that looks good. I'm going to put a pin in that until I get it glued down. Where's another pin? I don't want to have pins while I'm stitching, so glue is my friend. And let this be a bit of a, I don't know, a PSA. I went ahead and just now closed up my starch so it doesn't get spilled out anyway if anything falls in it. So remember to close your starch. And another PSA that I heard from the quilt squirrel, Jody, she mentioned on your glue stick, you can put it down in like some baby wipes or something like that to keep it moist while you're using it, if you need to. Let's see if I can. Now, how am I going to get it along the whole thing? Maybe I keep some pins in this one because I've already kind of messed that up. I've already stuck that down there. It's fine, Dawn. It's going to not be the end of the world. Okay, not bad. Okay, put our pins up so they don't fall on the floor and then end up in Miss Ruby's feet. Not too bad. Probably should have not put the glue where the needle's going to be going through so the needle doesn't get gunky. I'm so excited. I get to go stitch. Check that out. Isn't that going to look good? Oh, I'm so excited about this. But I'm going to do you and me a favor. I'm going to end the video and have a part 2. I think if we do a part 2, it will give you a little reprieve because this video is already long, and it will help me out because I am going to be out of the studio sporadically here and there for the next couple of weeks. And so if I can create the content for 2 videos today, that will help me out a lot. And then, my editing will still be dispersed ever how it needs to be dispersed. But creating content today for 2 videos will really help. I think it's lovely. I hope you guys do too. And thank you for being on this journey with me. If you saw anything that I was doing that I needed some tips on that could be done more efficiently, or that I, made some assumptions on that were absolutely wrong, let me know. And, of course, it wouldn't hurt if you say, hey, you did a good job too. You don't have to just correct me. I appreciate just hearing from you guys, whatever it is, as long as we leave my ego intact so I can keep on coming back tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, I'm good. Just tell me whatever I need to hear. But whatever, I just love hearing from you guys, and I love sharing your blocks. So let me see what your progress is. Hey, I'm being exceptionally vulnerable with you guys, so surely you can show me what you've got too. All right, my friends, have a great day. Happy stitching in your studios. We'll see you tomorrow.